Hi guys, bonjour, hola, my name is Trish. If you're new on this channel, welcome. We are so glad to have you here. So in this lesson, we are going to design a calendar, and I will also show you how you can create almost like a composition of all the different months that you can show to a client. On this channel, we learn about the basics of Photoshop for beginners, intermediate, and some advanced tutorial. So if there's something that you like, please take a minute and hit the subscribe button so we can get started with this tutorial. So the first thing you need to know is that the canvas size that I am using for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm just doing a 10 by 14 and 300 resolution. We're going to click on our shapes. I'm just going to draw it in like that. Now, when I draw it, you don't see it because if you look in the property, you realize that the fill has a strike, a red strike. Now, when you see the red strike, it means that it's empty. So we want to fill this in with a red color. So I'm going to double click on my fill and I'm going to choose this red, or I can pick my color picker and then I can actually pick this color or a little bit more deeper if I want. We want to round the edges of our polygon. So in Photoshop 2020, you have the option of just pulling this little dot and it will round all the edges for you like that. Now, if you are on the older version, in the older version, if you come under the stroke, you will see that it has 4 boxes, which allows you to do the same effect. Click on our stroke and we are going to click on the empty box. That way we don't have any stroke effect around it. Even though it says 1 pixel, when we come out of this, we don't have any border around our shape. Now I'm going to select my shape. When you click on your shape and the transform tool is not activated, make sure your auto select and show transform are both checked. Now we're going to rotate like that, and I'm going to go ahead and scale it, and I'm going to move it right there. So if you're using an older version and your transform activation is not set for you, you need to go under edit, transform, path, and then you want to choose scale and it will give you the same effect. So with this set in place, I'm going to move it in a little bit more like so. Now, what I want to do is that I'm going to make a copy of this. So I'm going to press Command J to make a copy, or you can drag it to the plus icon. It will also make a copy. I'm going to delete by just selecting the second copy and pressing delete on my keyboard, or you can drag it down to the trash can. I'm going to turn off the top layer. I am going to go to my folder and we want to drag this image into our file, and I'm going to set it somewhere here. I'm going to reduce the opacity on this image so we can see it while we set it in place. I'm going to reduce the image and pull it down so it fits right inside the shape. So with this set for us, we want to cut out that shape of the image. So I'm going to hold down my command and click on the polygon so I can select the outline of the polygon. Now you want to click on the layer image and you want to make sure that you are on your poly lasso tool command. On the lasso tool, you want to right click and click on layer via copy. Now we want to turn off the original image. We don't need it anymore. Take the opacity all the way up and we're going to turn on the other image. With my move tool, we are going to go ahead and scale this image, and we are going to place it somewhere here like that. I'm going to double click to accept it. Now we want to apply a black and white adjustment to our image. So you want to click on your image and you want to go to your adjustment and you want to choose black and white. Now your image has been turned into black and white. If you want it a little bit lighter, you can brighten your image, but we'll do that towards the end. Now this shape on top, we want to change the color. We want almost like a cyan color. So I'm going to double click so I can pull up the color. I'm going to click on this and I get this effect, but I actually want a gradient effect. So I'm going to click on the gradient icon. Now there are different options. I'm going to click on the blue gradient, the cyan, and the transparent. So from a solid to transparent. What I want to do is that I want to come out of this and I want to reduce the opacity a little. We can still see the image very well in the background. Now I want to go ahead and add a stroke effect around my shape. So we're going to click on our stroke and we are going to choose a color. So I want a white, and of course you can see it. So I'm going to go ahead and increase the pixel so it reads a little bit more, like so. Now we want to change the stroke option. Instead of a solid color, we want this dash. So we have this effect. You can even go with the dotted, but I want the dash. Now I'm going to take this down a little in terms of the stroke and go ahead and reduce the opacity a little bit more to, let's say, about a 55 or a 60. Now we want to also add a stroke effect to this image. Now because this image is not a shape, we cannot add a stroke effect in the property. We can do that in the layer style. So you can right click and then click on blending options. That will open it up for you, or you can double click on that layer and it opens up, which is much faster. Now you want to make sure that your new window doesn't cover up your image or what you're trying to do, so that you can see it. So you can basically move it around. Now we want a stroke effect. So we're going to click on our stroke and we want to change the color. So you want to click on the stroke effect. Now it gives you a different option. Now we have this red and that is what we want. And I'm going to increase the thickness so we have something like this. And I'm going to click OK. And I know that you're wondering, you're like, why is it that even though we've chosen a red, it's still showing us a gray? And I will explain to you in a minute. So we're going to close this. Whenever you apply an adjustment layer, you need to make sure that if you want that adjustment to be applied only to the layer beneath, you clip it. If you don't clip it, all the layers below that adjustment will have that same effect on it. So you want to hold down options and you notice that your mouse has been activated. Now you can clip in between. So now you can see the color because we clipped our adjustment to the layer beneath. Now we can go ahead and move our shape if we want it a little bit more centered. So I'm going to turn off my image so I'll be able to drag that copy out, turn my image back on. So with this, what we're going to do is we want to scale this down and we want to rotate it like this, and we're going to set it in there like so. And I'm going to move it a little bit more like that. Now I want to make a copy, Command J, and I'm going to set this somewhere here for now. Now we want to add a stroke effect around this one. So we're going to go back to our property and we want to click on our color option, and this time we just want like a grayish tone effect. So I'm gonna click somewhere here. I want almost like a bluish gray tone. So I'm gonna click, and we need to go into our stroke thickness and just increase it to the thickness we want. I have it at 116, and that's okay for now. If I change my mind, I can go back and increase it. So with this set, we want to go ahead and now take care of this area. So I'm going to increase or rotate a little, and we're going to go ahead and increase it like that. And now you can change up the style. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to hold down my options and pan on my mouse so I can scroll. And now that I have everything all set, I am going to move this down a little and or move it forward. However you want, you can do it. I'm going to double click to accept it. Now I want to change the color to yellow. So I'm going to click on my shape, and I'm going to click on the color and then choose this yellow. Now I want to go ahead and click on my image. I want to scale it a little bit more. So I have something like this, and I'm going to move this in a little. So the next thing we want to do is make another copy of the shape. Command J, make a copy and set that somewhere here. And we are going to click and change. We are going to click on the fill, take that out, and we want to add a stroke effect, which is a black or close to a gray. I'm going to go back to that shape, and we want to increase the stroke effect. And I want to change the stroke option to a dash. Now I'm going to change the color. We are going to pick almost like this gray-ish color, or make it a little bit lighter. And I'm going to click OK. Now we want to move this and set this somewhere here. So all of this set for us. Now we can go ahead and begin to add the rest of the information. So I'm going to pick my type tool, and I'm going to click on my foreground and background icon to set it to the default, and I'm going to flip my arrow to get it on white. Now I want to type in 2021, and I'm going to use the all-round Gothic font. I'm going to go ahead and type it in. And guys, I'm so sorry. Normally I'm able to provide you with the font, but some of the font are directly downloaded from Adobe, and I don't have access because it's a cloud-based system that is being used, so I cannot give you guys access to those fonts. But as I mentioned the name, you can look up something similar online, which is free, and use it, or you can use whatever font you want. So I'm going to move this first of all. I'm going to bring it in a little bit, and we are going to go ahead and scale our font a little bit more, our text, and set it right there. Now I'm going to pick back my type tool. I'm going to change my font to BBUS, and we're going to type in QUISTT. Now I already have the BBUS, so I will be able to provide that for you. Now it's below, so we're going to move that all the way up, and I'm going to highlight, and we want to change the style to bold, and I'm going to double click to accept it. Now I'm going to pick up my type tool again. We're going to change this back to the all-round Gothic, and I'm just going to type in company. Now, I know this is not too visible, but I like this effect. If you want it more bolder, you can use another font that will give you that effect. So I'm going to select these two, and I'm going to go ahead and rotate it a little so I get a very nice angle. I'm going to double click, and I like the way it looks. So we're going to go ahead and put in the information for the month of January. So I'm going to click on my type tool, click on my color, and I'm going to pick like a deep gray. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to click anywhere and type in January. And I'm going to highlight, and I'm going to change this to the B bus and also make that bold. With my move tool, I'm going to go ahead and rescale it a little like that. We're going to set it somewhere here. I'm going to double click to accept it. So now I'm going to type in the different days of the week. We're going to start with Sunday, and I'm going to go ahead and scale it down a little, zoom in, and I'm going to set it right there. I'm going to press Command J. So I'm going to double click and name this MO, and we want to highlight the Sunday, and we want to change that color to the red, since Sunday is a significant day in the week. And I'm going to make a copy, Command J. So with this set, all we need to do is now add the different or number it all out. So we're going to pick our type tool, and I'm going to flip so I still use the gray, and we are going to look for any font to use, something light. So we're going to go with the Avenir next, and I'm going to type in 1. I'm going to highlight and make that regular, or take it up to medium. Now I'm going to zoom in, move that to the Friday, and I'm going to set it right there. The next thing we're going to do is we want to click on our image itself, go to image adjustment, brightness and contrast. I want to brighten it up a little. I'm going to click OK. Now we want to click on our top image, hold down Shift Option Command E, make one file. Now go to your filter, camera raw. We want to add a little bit more punch. So we're taking back our temperature, we are increasing our contrast and increasing the vibrance as well. You can notice a big difference, and the thing looks more richer. We're going to click OK. So now you can see this is the before and this is the after. So you see a dramatic change, and that is what you want to do whenever you do your finish work. You want to touch it up to finish it off. So with this all set for us, I want to go ahead and show you how you can also create I would say a presentation board that you can give to your client to show to them. So what you can do is that you want to create a new file. So go to new, and you want to basically choose whatever default you used. In this case, I want to use a 1920 by 1018, and it's already a default. So I'm going to click on that template and click on create. So with this open, I'm going to go to my image, and this is the final image. I'm going to drag this in and set it right there. I'm going to hold down my options and zoom out, and I'm going to go ahead and scale it like that, and scale it and set it somewhere here. I'm going to go ahead and move it down a little, and I'm going to go ahead and rescale. So I have something like this. Now I want to add a little bit more interest. So I'm going to go back to the working file. I'm going to turn off the final piece we had. Now I want to bring in a few of the elements that are in this. So I'm going to click on this image, and I'm going to drag it in, and I'm going to zoom out and scale this as well. And I'm going to double click on the layer itself so I can reduce my stroke effect so it matches with what we have here. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to move this layer below my original image, and I'm going to move it and set that somewhere here to align, to give it that illusion that is expanding. Now I want to go ahead and also double click on the calendar itself, and I want to add a shadow. So I'm going to add a little bit of a drop shadow so it's sort of is elevated off the background, and I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to move my canvas up so you can see everything. Now I'm going to go back to this image, and we want to go ahead and drag this image as well as that image. So I'm just holding down Shift to select both. I'm going to drag it to the tab, and it will open this here, and I'm going to zoom out, and we're going to scale this just like we did with the other one. I'm going to zoom in, and don't worry, because it looks too thick, we're going to take down the stroke effect. So I'm going to double click to accept. I'm going to move this out of the way, and we are going to go ahead and take care of just the stroke thickness. Now I'm going to set that somewhere here for now. I'm going to go ahead and rescale it like that. We want it to basically match what we already have. I'm going to reduce the stroke thickness, take it down, and then just gauge it based on what you see. So maybe you might have to zoom in. So now that we have this, I want to align it with this. Now we can take that layer and set that below, and I'm gonna click on that layer again, and I'm just going to go ahead and scale it so it's up completely outside, and we just have to move it and try and position it just like that. So now that we have this, we want to take care of this one. So we are going to move this and do the same thing. We're going to scale it all the way out, and we want to match it with this one, and we're going to move that all the way down so it's beneath that as well. Need to, I guess, scale a little more, zoom in, and move it up to align like that. So it acts as though it's a continuation of the smaller image. So now that we have all of this set, I'm going to use my magnifying glass to scale so we can see it. So now that we have this, we want to type in the calendar 2021 calendar design. So I'm going to click on my type tool, and with my foreground as red, we're going to change our font to BBUS, and I'm going to increase it to bold, and we are going to go ahead and type in 20. Now I want to highlight just the calendar design, and we want to take down the size. We might have to enter maybe 200 or a little less, maybe 150. And I'm going to click and space it out so that goes completely to the other side, maybe 180. It's a little bit smaller and it works. And I'm going to actually reduce this a little, 380. And we're going to move that and set that somewhere here. And then move this out a little bit more so it's over there. Then we have this, and you can also type it in 2 different layers, so you bring it in, but I just chose to do it as one. So with this set, we can now go ahead and just bring in our final image to use as placeholders for the different months. So I'm going to put this in, zoom out, and we're going to go ahead and scale this down. And I'm going to scale this down, and this is for January. I'm going to scale it down like that. And set it in. Now we need to double click and add a little bit of a shadow effect so it pops off against the background. Now I'm going to double click on this, double click and change it to a cyan so it pops much better. So with this set for us, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to highlight my design, and we want to keep that in the gray so we have a little bit more contrast happening. So the next thing you want to do is then go back to your original image, and the easiest way to do this is you can actually select everything. You select the last layer, hold down Shift, select the top layer, make a duplicate, make a group, sorry. So once you make the group, you can make a duplicate of this group, and you can name it February, and you can turn the visibility off. You can go into this one, turn off this layer, and you can go ahead and begin to change things up. So we're going to type in February. Now once you're done, means that you have to pick up your calendar and correct all of these numbers. So guys, I'm not going to do that. That is something you can do on your own, but I want to show you how you can have all of this all set. So what I'm going to do is I already have all of these set. So I'm going to pull that in, and then I'll show you what else we need to do. So guys, as you can see, I've brought in all the different calendar months. It's a lot of work. So if you're doing this for a client, bear that in mind. You'll have to calculate all that time, and you might have to charge a little bit more. So the last thing we want to do is to add a little bit more effect. So I'm going to click on my adjustment and then add the color lookup. Now we are going to choose any of these options to see what gives us a very good blend that we want. So as you can see, the calendar has completely changed. So this can actually be one color option, and that is if you like this color range. So I'm going to make a copy, Shift Option Command E. It will make one file, so at least we have this as an option, and I want to turn it off. So the last thing you can do if you don't want to use the color lookup is that you can actually click on that layer and you can go ahead and add a hue, saturation, and you can begin to move the slider. And notice that the entire calendar changes. So you can have different color options. If you have a client that needs to see all the different color iterations, you can give it to them in a split second without having to do each design. And your client can choose from it. I'm loving it. There's so many options and it looks so cool. So guys, this brings us to the end of this lesson. Please like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell for all future uploads. And until next time, guys, please be safe. Bye, y'all.